What's up, sports fans, big baller shot callers, Big Ken here. We're back for yet another edition of from the Grid to Rim Sports Talk Show. Wow, it was a crazy Super Bowl weekend. A lot of things happened. Great game. At least second half was a great game. First half a little bit dry, but second game to only go into overtime in the Super Bowl. But it turned out to be a good game. Before we talk about, before that, let's mention who's here. Obviously, my co-host Monty, and then Dave and
What's
Robin
up?
came
What's
back.
up?
So welcome back, Robin, for your second show.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
Robin.
All right, let's get into before the game, let's get into tragic, event. I guess during the parade yesterday, there was a dispute between some teenager kids, and there was some innocent, people caught in the crossfire. I believe one dead and 20 plus injured. Several other teenagers were injured. So unfortunate event. At first, I thought it was maybe a targeting shooting, like they knew there was gonna be a lot of people at the Super Bowl and they were gonna do something like that to make a scene. But from what Dave just told us, it's more about a dispute between these two teenager kids, and it seems like this innocent people at this train station kind of got caught in the way of some bullets. So between a dispute between two kids, so pretty sad. And then today in America, it just seems like this is happening more and more all the time, and I don't know
Yes.
why. It seems like they're trying to copycat each other, but yeah, it's unfortunate. What do you guys think about this? Obviously, it's pretty horrible. Hopefully, they're okay. Prayers to the family of the person who died. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
tragic, and prayers to the people who are injured. Hopefully, they have speedy recoveries and that doesn't affect their lives too much after this. But I hope they're okay. Yeah.
It's
Uh,
sad. I think when the thing that comes up in my brain about it the most is just that teenagers have such like an imbalance in their brain. Their prefrontal cortex, we I don't know. I guess I study brain science a lot. And your prefrontal cortex, they say, isn't fully developed until you're about 25. And that's the part of your brain that regulates your risk taking, your executive function, and your just decision making. And but the emotion center of your brain, which in my brain terms are escaping me right now, of course, since I'm on air. But anyways, the emotion center of your brain, your emotions are fully developed by the time you're like 14. So they have all of these this big emotion center part of their brain, and the executive function or the decision making and reality part of the brain is just not there. And I think we see that a lot in teenagers. They make decisions that are bigger than the moment, and sometimes it's really sad when there are things that they can't take back, things that they can't redo, and
Yeah.
getting things like that involved is just really sad. And
yeah.
being a person who works with teenagers is just really, it's heartbreaking for me to see, because I see it from both sides. Like, it's really sad that it happened, and the tragedy of somebody getting shot and a crowd and young
Right.
kids.
But also these kids themselves who did it. Yeah, I understand both
Yeah.
sides. Yeah. Yeah,
What's going
because
on with them, and how are they dealing with that? And then once their brain catches up with, oh my word, what did I just do? And that's
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I understand both sides too. That makes sense. And that's a great point, Robin. And I know Monty's nephew, Dwayne, has a lot of experiences too, because
Yes.
he's a counselor at an alternative school in Dallas, Texas. So he has a lot of
Yeah.
you and him need to talk. He used to do our show with us, but he's unfortunately been out of our show for a while because he has a lot going on right now. But he started our show with us. Great guy. I mean,
Yeah.
me, Monty, and him all hung out together in El Paso in our high school days. So yeah, I think you and Robin, you guys would get along great because you
Yeah.
guys both work with kids, and I think he speaks your language. So
Yeah. We're very much alike. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's sad. How long are we gonna have to see this? Happened in Denver, after their victory parade, uh, in Arlington, after their victory parade. Uh, I know Kansas City had over 1 million people there, over 800 cops, and still had a young lady lose her life, senseless. When's it gonna stop? I mean, I don't know. I mean, we could talk about gun laws, gun safety till the cows come home. I mean, we're not going to do that here. It's not a political show. I mean, I don't have the answers. I don't know. It's well, what can we do? I mean, it's sad. I mean, I know they took every precaution imaginable that they could, and it's just unfortunate. Just prayers to the city of Kansas City. I mean, the players, this lady's family who they're grieving right now. My heart goes with them. Prayers goes with them, and we just got to figure out a way. I mean, kids didn't go to school that day for this parade, not expecting this to happen. I mean, what do we do now? Just keep the kids in school and miss out on this thing? I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's sad. It's just we got to pray that this doesn't happen again, but it's way too often.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I thought it was more about the parade itself, but it wasn't. We make sure that that's clear. Like I'm glad Dave filled us in because Dave had a lot of knowledge on that. 'Cause at first I thought it was all about them, trying to, go to a mass event and try to, do something like this. But it seemed like the dispute was between them, like I said, and people got caught in between their dispute. So
Mhm.
yeah, that sucks. Either way, it sucks. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and either way, even I mean, even it being a dispute between two juveniles is like, where are we as a society? I mean, I'm not going to get into the whole political thing, but we're
Right.
juveniles are carrying guns, where there's a
And
million people around.
Mhm.
So,
yeah,
like Monty says, something's got to be done, but this
yeah.
is
Something's got to be
America,
done.
and nothing's going to happen.
But well,
It's
like we don't get into the whole politics part of it,
exactly.
but me and Monty know a little bit because I think it's better now. But me and Monty know in El Paso, Texas, when we were going to school, it was pretty freaking bad. I mean, people weren't getting shot, but there was a lot of gang violence in our high schools because we grew up in El Paso, Texas. A lot of really bad Mexican gangs there. I saw some crazy gang fights in El Paso, so not saying that we're not victimized or anything, nothing like that, but I've seen some crazy things in high school though, and we always had security guards in our high school because the gang violence was really bad. So me and Monty know a little bit about that from the gang violence side of like some gangs are just crazy in El Paso. But I heard it's gotten a lot better. At least
Yes.
that's what you told me, but I know in the early '90s it was really bad.
Yeah.
And me being a skinny white kid in El Paso was a little bit scary. So, you know, I was believe it or not, I was a minority in El Paso. Like 80% of the high schools are Mexican American. So yeah, it's different. It's a different life in El Paso, Texas. So at least that's from I remember. But at the same time, all my best friends, Monty Brown and everyone, I love El Paso. I mean, it's violent. It was violent, but all my great friends are there. All my great memories are from El Paso. This high school was a little bit crazy at the time. And I remember me and my sister were shocked because me and her were two quiet kids, and we just weren't used to seeing um, those kinds of things. It was different. It was definitely eye opening. It was definitely I was intimidated for a while. Like my first year in El Paso, I was just scared to death, like because I didn't grow up fighting. I always walked away from fights kind of thing, only fight if I had to. So that's the way I was raised. Like my mom did say fight to win though. If you can't get out of it, fight to win. If you can walk away from it, walk away. But she did say if you can't get out of it, you better fight to win. That's all I was ever told by my mom and dad. It's like always try to avoid a fight, but if you can't, you need to beat the crap out of them. So yeah,
Right.
but I didn't get into many fights as a kid. So, but anyways, we're dragging on way too much about that. But anyways, it's sad though. Uh, Memory lane. But
the
let's get
one thing I
into
will say though
what's that? Go ahead, Dave.
is kudos to those two guys who tackled one of them.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, I did read about that. Yeah,
No,
that's ballsy. Yeah, great
Mhm.
job. Yeah, that took a
yeah,
lot of
Yes.
guts.
and evidently he's one of the two being detained. So yeah,
Hmm.
crazy.
Yeah,
Kudos to
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Like
That was
one person said, I read that they should have Chiefs season tickets for life.
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
They should. They should. They should be sitting on the 50-yard line every
Yeah.
game. Well, let's get into another controversial event, but this doesn't have to do with anyone being injured. But this is about the game itself. Um, some people think this is not a big deal. But let's talk about Travis Kelce blowing up on his coach Andy Reid in the first half. Here's my take. Obviously, we had a big text message discussion about this. Um, yes, people make mistakes. I've made plenty of them. We all have, and there's been some things I've done where I've regretted it right after I did it. And I'm sure Travis Kelce felt like, oh my God, I can't believe this did this. But you can't go back. So I get that part of it. But and it's a huge game, obviously, the Super Bowl. But even with all that being said, I still think he messed up. I think he went too far. I think there's different ways to handle it. But like Dave said, you do need some alpha dogs on your team, and I get it. But I've been around alpha dogs my whole life. I never seen any of them get in their coach's face and like chest bump him and just do that, you know. So I think that's where he kind of went too far. It's like one thing to yell at him and say, "Hey, we need to do something better. We're starting to suck here." But him just getting in the way he did it, I just didn't like it. I think the chest bumping was too much, and to me, he got in his personal zone. And when you get
Yeah.
into someone's personal zone, I think like it's game on, dude. Like if someone feels threatened, he's just lucky. Andy Reid is a really good guy, and he's an older man, and you know he just did a good job ignoring it. Like Robin said, he didn't make the situation worse, you know. But yeah. But to me, when you're in someone's personal zone, he's lucky the guy wasn't as aggressive as he was. Because if that guy was aggressive like him, it could have been bad. That was just my take. So because when you're in someone's personal space and they feel threatened, like I've seen guys throw punches, so they feel like this guy's on me, man, this guy's on me, and then they do it. So that's just my take. What's your thoughts, Monty?
Yeah. He was out of line. But at the same time, it's the Super Bowl. Kelsey's high strung as it is anyway, fired up type player, and uh, he was lucky coach didn't deck him. And he said on his podcast he was just taking it because he knew he was in the wrong. But no, I agree with you. He was out of line, but at the same time, I understand the circumstances. It's intense. Arguably, he's their best player, one of their best players. Believed he should have been out there, and just his emotions got the best of him. I'm not saying that's okay. I don't know how many times we've seen receivers yell at their coaches, like you mentioned. Tom Brady was intense, yelling at his players, at his coaches. Uh, Players like Kelce, mostly receivers. He's a type of receiver, might as well be. They're pretty intense. They're divas, and they want the ball. They want to be in there to help their team win, and he just let that get to him a little bit too much. He regretted at the end, and I'm wondering if they would have lost this game, how they would make this a big deal.
I
Yeah,
thought
that's a
that.
great point. Wow. Yeah, that's a great point. They are lucky they won. You're right. If they lost, it'd be way bigger than what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that'll be something. That'll be something. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my thought on it, like I heard there's so many memes that go around on social media and stuff. And I have, especially I feel like moms and women have a lot of opinion on what they think they see or how they judge things.
Mhm.
I don't know how many times I wrote on my friends' comments that said things like, we don't know the situation. Like we obviously know the game is a big game there. It's very emotional. But when it comes down to the interaction between a coach and a player, there's always something more to what we're seeing. Some coaches are motivated in a certain way, or some players are motivated a certain way with their
Right.
coaches and stuff. So without being there with them on their day-to-day interaction, we don't really know if this behavior is acceptable, if it's as bad as it looks. Obviously, it looks really bad. Obviously, for people sitting watching it on TV with their children, it's a really good teaching moment, you know, that's not okay. But he did have he was I mean, he's very passionate. And like I've said before, that you don't get to be as good of a player to be in the NFL and to be a Travis Kelce in the NFL without having a little bit of confidence and arrogance and feeling like you know better than other people. And so I feel like that in a way he gets a pass for it. I mean, not 100%, but I feel like that we let players and coach and people in the media like this get away with that. Not saying that it's okay. We shouldn't be teaching our, you know, 7th graders to handle a situation on the sidelines like this, but it's just something that happens. I don't really think that I honestly don't think that it's worth like the media spending so much time on it. It's like,
Mhm.
it's a pretty good game. We don't really like, we're looking for storylines because it's
Right.
interesting. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. Even people who might not even know how the game went or who won the
Yeah.
game have an opinion on this. Oh,
Right.
I have a who's a mom, and she just was like, "It's so out of line. It's absolutely unacceptable. This should never happen. They should be better than this. They're NFL players. They get paid millions of dollars. You know, blah blah blah." But the reality is that it does happen. And honestly, I feel like that a good teaching moment in there is to see the reaction of Andy Reid. Like they could have gone at it, two of them, in a way. Like I feel like, okay, you know what? That was not okay for Travis Kelce to act that way, but Andy Reid didn't act that way in return when he very well could have and would have been
Yeah.
in most eyes justified. So it's like, well, he just let it go. Like you go sit down. Like sometimes that's how you have to handle that kind of behavior, is just not give it that energy so that it doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah.
And
Don't.
that,
Yeah. Exactly. Don't give it no attention. Don't let it. Yeah. Don't even acknowledge it. Like if you acknowledge it, then you're giving it like credit. So yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. So that's true. What do you think, Dave? I know what you think, but you gonna say anything? Because I saw your text. You think it's completely not a big deal, like you said. So
You know, it's like the way everybody just jumped out of their shoes and reactions one way or the other.
yeah,
It's, you know, give emotions a day or two to settle down and see if the right thing happens, which it did. You know, Travis Kelce came out and apologized, unlike Sean Payton, you know,
yeah.
the way he treated
Very
Russell
good point.
Wilson.
Very good point. Yes.
Um, you know, just let things settle down. Like Robin said, this Super Bowl, obviously it's for everything. Yeah, I mean, the bump was, you know, not necessary at all.
Yeah, that's the part I
Uh,
didn't like was the bump. I didn't care about the yelling, but the bump is kind of like, whoa, now you got a little bit
but
handsy. Yeah, that's what I
but
didn't like. Yeah.
yeah, and but I just think he got way blown out of proportion
for sure.
way too quickly without letting time settle in to see if
Right.
the correct thing happened. I mean, I loved Andy Reid's reaction, according to Travis Kelce, is a few minutes after that, Andy Reid went over there and told him, "Hey, dude, you know, I've got cameras on me all the time. That's not a good look."
Mhm.
Hmm.
You know, so
Yes.
uh, you know, Andy Reid knew it was a heat of the moment type thing, and no reason to
Yeah.
exasperate things where it could have had negative impact on the game.
Right.
So
Right. No, there's something I was gonna say, but I lost my train of thought. But it was along the lines of yeah, yeah. People. Well, first, like me being in the Navy, I worked with a lot of passionate guys, and that's what I was gonna say. You're right. Very passionate on our rate up on the flight deck, and you know, we would go out like cats and dogs sometimes, the best friends. But then, like after the day's over with, we're out saying, "Hey, I love you, man." Like, but we go have a beer together. So I get it. It's the same kind of thing. But I just didn't like the chest bump, like I said. Like I said, I don't care about the yelling and shouting matches, but that's like the thing is when you get handsy. And I think that's what my post said was like, I don't care about the yelling because I had sailors yell back and forth with me, but like if in the Navy, if a sailor puts well, either way, the senior leader or a junior sailor, like they put their hands on somebody, like they're in a lot of trouble, you know. So I guess maybe I'm thinking about from a Navy perspective too, since I did 26 years, and they're like, dude, you might yell at me, and you might be insubordinate and disrespectful, and I might write you up, and maybe I won't, depending on like what the situation is. But if you put your hands on me, like I'm absolutely writing you up. You know what I mean? Like you're in trouble now. That's like crossing the line. Like you put your freaking hands on me. Went from a shot match now, like you know, now you're chest bumping me and stuff like that. So I guess that's my standpoint. I just didn't like the chest bump, but I agree with you, Dave. Yeah, he handled it the right way. And me and Monty were talking before the show got on, you know, before we started the show, like on his brother on their podcast with his brother. His brother called him out saying, "Hey, you were
yeah,
wrong for that." You
yeah,
know, he played big brother, like Monty said, "Hey, you were completely out of line," and Travis Kelce owned it and said, "Yeah, I was." So kudos to
Yeah.
both of the
yep.
brothers actually. So yeah, right on.
I'm always thinking from a teaching standpoint sometimes, and I come from the mom point of view a lot of times. I think what's important sometimes for children as they're growing up and watching their hero figures do things that are not appropriate, whether it's because they reacted a certain way out of, a passionate game or whatever, or something else, like it's good for them to see, for kids or for people in general, to see that these people are human. They're dealing
Yeah.
with a lot of emotions, but it's also good for them to see this other side of it where the two things. One, that the relationship comes out on the other side, that Andy Reid and Travis Kelce, sort of like made their amends. They are good with each other. But also when Travis Kelce can say, you know what, yeah, he's called out by somebody, like, dude, that wasn't okay. Like, you're right, that was not okay. I acted improperly. That speaks volumes to the world, saying that you can, like, when you make a mistake, you should own it. You should own it.
Yeah, and
So
he did own it. Absolutely. He didn't make excuses and everything. You're right.
so I think that's important for us to not just pay attention to the wrongdoing, like, oh, they shouldn't do this. Yes, you're correct. They should not do that. It should not be a thing. The media probably shouldn't pay attention and put the focus on
Yeah,
that.
they have so much other stuff. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But being able to admit to the mistake, instead of, he could have made excuses, oh, it's passionate game, it's this, it's that, is that. It's like for them to be able, it's important to be able to say, you know what, I was wrong. And I think that's a good thing to teach teenagers and kids and people that are watching
Oh
these
yeah.
figures that are heroes on TV, to see, oh, they can acknowledge that they messed up. Maybe I can acknowledge that I messed up and apologize.
No, that's a huge deal. People I know in the Navy again, and even people out of the Navy. So I had sailors that couldn't admit that they messed up, and I wanted them to tell me the truth, and they just wouldn't. They just wouldn't do it. They keep on playing this he said she said thing. If they tell me the truth, then I'm willing to like let things.
Right.
They won't completely get away with it, but I'm not willing to drop the hammer on them. But they continue to lie and are playing these games, and I'm just like, I'm taking this. I'm dropping the book on them. I had a couple situations like that. I was like, all you gotta do is tell me the truth. But I'm not gonna tell them, if you tell me the truth, I'm willing to drop all charges, because then they're just gonna say it just to get out of it. I want them, it has to come from them, directly, without me giving them any kind of insight. Like, that's just me, but that's a
Yes.
Navy thing. So yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. You need to tell me. I need to see it come from you, not from me. So that's just me. But anyways. But good on Kelce for telling the truth. That's a big deal, because I know people that just can't.
Yes.
They're too prideful. They're way too
Mhm.
prideful. All right, but let's move on to this game before Dave goes to sleep over there. So I'm messing with you, Dave. I know you don't like this conversation, but um, first half I thought was pretty dry. It was a one-score game at halftime, 10-3. 49ers dominated first half, had twice as many first downs, twice as many yardage. They were just completely dominating the game. It was unfortunate that Christian McCaffrey had a fumble in the opening drive. They could have been up by more, but he fumbled it. Second half, things changed. Patrick Mahomes was able to get it going. And then the fourth quarter, the game got heated up, got really good. The final score at the end of regulation was 19-19. And, San Francisco gets the opening field goal, but the overtime rules changed. I didn't know that for the Super Bowl, but I know usually in overtime rules, if the first team scores a touchdown, the game is over. The other team doesn't get a chance to get the ball back, but they changed that this year. They didn't score the touchdown anyway, but if they would have, the Kansas City still would have had a chance to match a touchdown. That was the one big difference. Like, wow, I didn't know they changed that. So that was interesting when I heard that come out. But San Francisco got the opening field goal, and then yeah, Mahomes is Mahomes, man. Like, you can't give these guys chances. He went down and scored the game-winning, touchdown. Hardman caught the ball, and game was over, 25-22. But the second half got really good. First half I thought might be another boring Super Bowl, like a 2019 one with the Rams and Patriots, Tom Brady's last ring with New England, and that game was really boring. But the second half did pick up, so I was happy for that. So Robin, what's your thoughts on the game? What do you think about it? Good game, not good game?
I feel like it was, I mean, it was a good game, but it was a good game for a game that I wanted both teams to lose. So
Yeah.
I was definitely not, there was no objective point of view in me at all. I'm like, I just am not a fan. But I do feel like it was a good game. Like we were talking about it last night, my husband and I, and I was like, I wonder where they're gonna place this. You know, like I don't remember which Super Bowl it is. I probably should, but I think it was a Steelers and Arizona Cardinals Super Bowl. John, do you remember which one that is? He's not talking. But that was really good, and instantly we're like, that has to be like one of the best Super Bowls or the Super Bowl ever. And so this one I feel like ranks up there. And but the one thing that kind of struck me that I was like, come on, you guys, is that I did hear a 49ers player say that they were not aware of the new postseason rules. And I was like, okay, two things. I was like, well, it's not really relevant because they kicked a field goal anyway, so they were gonna get.
Yep. It would have been game playing anyway. Yep.
But they really should be more prepared. Like,
Right.
if you go play the Super Bowl, you should know it. Or at least as the game goes on, like that's when we're like, okay, what are the like that fourth quarter as it was close, like what are is there new rules? Like somebody should be like before the Super Bowl in the preseason, it should, or the pregame, don't forget this is the new rule, you know, but I mean, I like it. I like the rule. I feel like that it evens the playing field out and stuff. But but yeah, I feel like this is probably one of the best Super Bowls in the game itself. Interest level. If you look at the ratings, like we were trying to find something to watch on TV last night before we went to bed, and our TiVo gives us like ratings on it. The rating was 100, which is ratings I think are 0 to, I don't know if it's to 100, but the rating was 100. That's the highest I've ever seen a rating of a game. And so that's my husband. I wonder what the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl was at the end of the game, because it was towards the end of the game. So at that time it was like good, you know. But anyways, I feel like it was a good game. The person I wanted to win did not win, but I would have said that no matter who won.
What do you think, Monty? I know you said went from being I know in your Facebook post already you said went from being one of the worst to one of the best. So
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it was a snoozer that first half, that's for sure. But boy, that ending was something else. Ken. Apparently, you weren't the only one that didn't know the overtime rules. But San Francisco didn't either.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Now, listening to Richard Sherman that Monday after the Super Bowl, the NFL sends out reminders of these new rules often. From what I understand, Kansas City practiced scenarios like this all year. They knew. So I don't get it. I don't get it. I think it's Dave that's made me see the light about Kyle Shanahan. He for sure is not his dad.
Yeah.
Not nowhere near. Man, this guy losing double-digit leads, 3 Super Bowls, 2 as a coach, 1 as an assistant. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I was going for Kansas City anyway, just how San Francisco lost this game. They have the game won. How do you get away from Christian McCaffrey? You go out throwing the ball with a 10-point lead in the second half.
Yeah.
You're running shotguns, no play action, nothing like that. You're force feeding to hurt Deebo Samuel. I don't know how many times they threw to him. I think he had like 11 passes. He only caught 3. I mean, he almost didn't play in the game. I mean, it's ridiculous. Right. And it gets my goat because I see Dallas do this all the time. They don't stick with what's working and they don't adjust that after halftime. And I mean, I'm glad San Francisco lost the game, but I'm looking at this objectively here. They had this game to win. I mean,
they could have had they should have won this, or they could have, should have, would have, but yeah, they had the game in hand. Yeah. I mean, that's why Travis Kelce blew up on the sideline, because they were getting frustrated. Right. So yeah.
No, it's flashes of that Atlanta Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and I know every coach has their Achilles heel. This guy loses leads. Remember Mike Martz? He had trouble with time management. So I guess this is his thing. I don't know. Firing his defensive coordinator as a scapegoat. I know we talked about their run defense, but overall, San Francisco had a pretty good defense most of the year. Kyle Shanahan was getting most of the blame, so he had to deflect it somehow by firing their defensive coordinators. So, yeah, Dave, I see why you don't like him.
Actually, I do like him for that reason because he's a joker.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I like him.
He
But yeah, that first half was, to me, reminded me a lot of like a preseason game. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was bad.
There wasn't much action, turnovers and such. Second half though, in overtime, that was fun. Like Monty said, it's why are you getting away from running the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, that's who you are as a 49er offense, and to Shanahan did that when he was OC in the Atlanta Super Bowl. They had that huge lead, and he was
Yeah.
throwing the ball. It's like, what the heck are you doing? Run the ball and run the time off the clock.
Right.
But
And they have Christian McCaffrey. Like you should be feeding him and like
exactly,
He's having a great
exactly.
game. They just stopped him the whole game.
No, exactly. Yeah, and it's like whatever. But but just a little quick correction though, Ken, those playoff overtime rules, this is the second year it's been in
It is
effect.
the second year. I thought
Yeah.
it was the first. Yeah.
No, it's
That's
the
the first I
second year
remembered it.
they've never been implemented because there's never been an overtime game. But yeah, it would have been I'm sorry, it would have been absolutely hilarious to see San Francisco score a touchdown and their players come running on the field thinking they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because
That
they
would
have
have
to
been
just show how much they don't
hilarious.
know. That would have been
Because
hilarious.
some of them would have.
Oh, they would have. They definitely didn't know what was going on. That would have been crazy. That would have been so fun. They'd be talking this for years if they did that. That would be something that people will never
But
forget.
I was watching something today from NFL Films where after the coin toss for the overtime, I mean Patrick Mahomes is coming off the field saying they won and they're taking the ball or something like that. It's like he couldn't believe it that they would do that. I mean, and Shanahan's excuse, well, we wanted the ball third. It's like most teams, if they have to score a touchdown to tie, they're going to go for two. They're not going to
Yeah.
give you the ball back. They're going to win or lose it with their
Yeah.
offense.
Yeah.
Because teams are tired and all that. So,
right to a third overtime. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, why are you going to be giving them the ball back? So, obviously, that was just kind of his lame excuse. I'm sure he probably came up with after
Right.
the fact.
Right.
But I mean, honestly, I think the Niners got hurt a little bit when they lost Greenlaw.
Oh yeah, that was surprising. Coming onto
Yeah.
the field, yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane, dude.
Yeah.
Not even a football play. Yeah, that's crazy.
And I knew what that was right away. Right away.
Yep.
I said, oh, that's an Achilles.
Yeah,
Susie fell.
that's been the thing all year. Start with Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers, and everyone's multiple have had Achilles injuries since then. Like it's been crazy.
Yeah. And then the aftermath firing Steve Wilkes. I'm sorry. Your
Yeah,
defense sure
why?
wasn't the greatest in the postseason. You held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points in regulation
Yeah,
with one
that's great.
touchdown pass.
That's
It's
good.
like, come
Yeah, that's
on.
good.
But Shanahan needed a scapegoat, and so obviously there's something going on between there because I mean he did call that timeout when
Yeah.
they were on defense at one
Yeah.
time.
Right.
So, but it was actually fun to watch the field goal records get broken consecutively so quickly.
Early in the game too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Some absolute bombs, but 57 yards and
55, 53,
55,
57. Yeah.
Something
So,
like that.
yeah, that was pretty cool to see, for the kicker standpoint.
For sure.
But just kind of reminiscent of the previous Super Bowl with the Niners. I mean,
yeah, rematch.
a
They were
muff
up big,
punt.
up by 10 points, and they
Yeah,
lost.
but then a muff punt, goes off somebody, and first it was Kyle Williams or something back in the
Yeah,
hardball days or whatever. So,
At first I thought it was a punt return, but actually he was trying to recover it because he knew it hit
Yeah.
the player, and he was
Yeah,
trying.
because it hit
He
the
was in
leg.
scramble mode. Yeah, so yeah, he was trying to do the right thing, but he couldn't. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the ball. You know,
Yeah. I was
over.
really surprised at the 49ers defense, though, stopping the run because they
Yeah,
didn't
they were
look
doing
good
great.
Yes.
all
I thought
postseason.
that Pacheco would go off on him. He didn't do
I
much
did
of
too.
anything.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it has some surprises. As I like the end though. So, just to see see the Niners go down and go into turmoil. So, yeah.
Well, here's the thing to think about too. That I was thinking about after the game, and even when their kicker missed the extra point, it was only a 3-point game. What if it
Yeah.
was a 4-point game? KC would have no choice but to go for it on 4th and goal, but they were able to get the field goal to tie
Yep.
it to get in overtime. So that's another good point. It was like
Yep.
he had a great game overall. Made a 57-yarder, broke the record like you said, Dave. But he did get the big one blocked. I don't know if that was his fault, offensive line fault, but they were saying it was his fault because the ball was low and
Right.
he
Yeah.
didn't get off his foot well to get it high enough in the air where the lineman can't get to it, especially for like only a 30-yard kick. You hit it high. You don't need distance, like the 50+ yard kicks, you might hit it low because you're trying to get, as much yards as you can out of it, but not a 30-yard kick. You hit it
Right.
into the freaking lights, So yeah, that was surprising. He just mishit it, and the lineman got it. But the other thing, real quick, is speak about Shanahan for when he was offensive coordinator. Here's what I thought of that game. I thought when all defenses play prevent defense, it prevents nothing except for them scoring touchdowns. I thought they did that, and I also thought he didn't mix the run and pass well. He was running 3 plays in a row, going 3 and out like crazy. Then they tried passing it on 3rd and long. I thought he should have done. Of course, this is several years ago. I thought he should have mixed it up more, and kept on doing what you're doing while you had the 25-point lead. I thought he got, and maybe I'm wrong, Dave, but I thought he got a little bit overly conservative when they had the 25-point lead several years ago. That was my takeaway. Is like, why are you just run the ball 3 straight downs? Yes, you want to run the ball to like I said, to eat clock and not pass it and every down, but they weren't. To me, he wasn't mixing it up very well. In a defense,
But you need to get first downs. I mean,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So, like,
3 and outs
you're
aren't going to do you anything. I mean, yeah.
But to yours and Monty's point, you do need to run the ball more with a 2, 3, or 4 score lead, but not so much where the defenses could just put 8 guys in a box and get you 3 and out every single freaking time. You got to have some game planning there. But
Right.
yeah, so that just comes down to coaching, offensive coordinator, the head coach, and all that stuff, like how to know how to play with leads and close out the
Yeah.
game. It seems like Shanahan does not know how to close out big games. He knows how to get them there, though. They've been to the Super Bowl a lot, so yeah, he knows how to get there. He just can't win one. Monty, let's go into your stats. Let's go into the over-unders. Do you got some stats on the over-unders we predicted?
Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. We're talking about who would score the first touchdown. Who was it? McCaffrey?
Yep.
Who said McCaffrey? I know you did, Ken.
I think I was the only
We're
one.
the only one. I thought Mahomes would.
I think I went with Rice. I went
Travis
with
said
Rice.
Kelce, and
Kelce.
yeah. Ken went with the easy, obvious ones. Lucky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was on a backwards lateral pass. That was crazy. So yeah.
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 That was a nice play call,
exactly.
by the way. That was a very nice play call. I like
Yeah,
that.
he knows how to call the plays well in the first 3 quarters of the game. It's not the 4th quarter. So
Okay.
But you know what? Speaking of that, I've always heard, for what it's worth, that if you have to run trick plays, you feel like you're the inferior team.
yeah. That's true.
So
that's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like you don't think you got enough to do it. Just smash mouth football. That's a good point. Yeah.
okay,
Nice.
sorry to interrupt your over under, Monty.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Okay, total yards between these two receivers. Ayuk had, I think, 49 yards, and Rice had 39, something like that. Yeah, so I was wondering who would have the best game between them both. Robin, I forgot what you said. I don't know if you said anything about that.
I don't think I had an opinion on that one.
No, I thought Rice would.
Dave did too.
But, yeah, Yeah,
I did too.
Who did? What did they?
I had Ayuk. I've got two so far.
yeah. Ken had Ayuk. Yeah,
Yeah, I said
and
Ayuk was the big underdog. I'm the one who picked Ayuk. Kevin said option
Kevin
C.
picked Kittle.
He picked George Kittle. That was funny. Yeah, he's like
Yeah.
George Kittle, and George Kittle had one catch in the whole entire game.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
surprised
they
me
did a good job
too.
on
I
him.
was like,
Real
"What
good
in the
job on
heck?"
him. Yeah, man, I'll put a missing persons out on him. Man.
Yeah,
Well, and Isaiah Pacheco, they held him pretty good.
yeah, they did.
Plus or minus 85 yards. Oh man, I said he'd go under.
I think I had him over.
I was
Yeah, you
over.
did. Yeah,
I was
I had him
over.
over. He
Yeah.
definitely did not go over. I was wrong on that one big time. I thought Pacheco
Yeah.
would go off like Dave said. I thought Pacheco would light them up on the run. He didn't do much of anything. Mahomes had more rushing yards than he did. Mahomes was Kansas City's leading rusher that game.
yeah, yeah. Which shouldn't be a surprise, but yeah, yeah.
Usually, it's typical usually.
Mm-hmm. He's close to it. All right. Who was the Super Bowl MVP?
Mahomes. I think most of us got that right. Me and Dave picked Mahomes. I know that. Who else picked something?
Yeah,
I had my bold prediction.
Dave and Brandon did. I was way off. I picked Chris Jones, even though he had a good game.
He had a really good
But
game.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, he did have a good game. But no, yeah, Mahomes, good safe pick there. How many total yards did McCaffrey have? Like 160?
Yeah, 160. Balavic, like 50 of them came in overtime. He was like around 110, 115 at the end of regulation, which is under 130, like your over and under was. But then he went over, so I don't know if that should count or not, but it is part of the game. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We most of us said over. I said under. I don't know why. Robin said over. Ken said over. Kevin, Paul, you had them under, didn't you?
I had him under. I know. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Dave had him under because he thought Kansas's defense would shut him down, which they did.
Which they did for the 4 quarters.
They did. They did. Yeah, they did.
And a
I
trick
said it only
play.
takes one or two big plays for him to go over. That's why I said if he gets a couple of really big plays, he'll go over.
Yeah, and that's what it was.
I think we're all in agreement on the Taylor Swift. How many times did we show her?
I think they showed her 10 or 11 times. I was
Yeah.
counting.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said four. I should have
They
picked
showed
like
her on
8.
America. They showed her when freaking what's his name was singing "America the Beautiful," and that was an interesting pick. I did not expect Post Malone to be singing "America the Beautiful." That surprised the heck out of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Whoa,
You did good too.
He did really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know more for R&B and hip hop, not that. So that was actually surprising, but in a good way. I did not expect him to
Well,
want
and
it.
I think that like we were talking after I got off the podcast last week, my husband, I was like, so the over under on Taylor Swift was 4. And I was like, that seems really low. And we both kind of were like, that's a low number for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And John's point was my husband is always looking for like the loopholes. He goes, well, what's considered Super Bowl coverage? Is it from the time the coverage starts? Is it from the time
Right.
of kickoff? Is it from how long that lasts? And I was like, oh, because if you think about like if you go from kickoff to the end of the game, that's one thing. But if you include like the pregame, they're going to show her during the national anthem. They'll probably show her during the introductions, maybe.
Right.
They'll show her, of course, when he scores a touchdown, and then if they win at the end of the game, there's 4 right there.
Yeah.
And that's minimal. And so I was like, well, that's true, but I feel like that. I mean, and I don't feel like that they overdid it with the
No.
cover.
No.
I
No.
do feel like there's some part of me was like, maybe they backed off a little bit too to kind of like keep it mellow, but I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of her Super Bowl outfit. I wanted to see her in a Kelce jersey or something. I'm like, did she
She
just
went
wear
more like a dining out kind of thing. Yeah, more
Yeah.
here.
Well,
Yeah.
she was more like a concert outfit. I'm like, I could see
Yeah.
her in the stage. I mean, I guess she's a little bit more, little less covered when she's on stage, but yeah, I was just like, eh. But
She
Yeah.
did just come from a concert.
Oh yeah.
She was in Tokyo.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
was in jet lag like crazy because I lived in Japan for over 10 years, met my wife there, and that's a huge time difference, man. That's like 15 hours.
Oh.
It's big.
well, she didn't have time to get jet lag because she landed and it was like game time. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
Monday was
It's like-
probably rough.
I can't remember which way is worse. One way is not too bad. We just feel normal, and then the other way you feel like completely like crap. I just can't remember which way it was because I forgot. But one way you feel it really badly, another other way you don't feel really nothing at all. You just like it feels like it's another normal day. So maybe it's coming back. I don't know. I can't remember which side's really bad. But I've been there a lot, so I knew I felt it sometimes. And then
So by those over and unders, that's why I'm not a betting man.
yeah, we gotta ask Brandon. I know that's personal, but I wonder how well Brandon did.
He
'Cause,
didn't do good. No,
huh?
he didn't win his parlay. No.
No.
Um,
Yeah, he showed his ticket. So yeah.
Are we
Yeah.
gonna talk about the halftime show? What
Yeah,
do
we
we
can
think?
talk about that.
sure.
A lot of comments on that on Facebook. So go ahead, Robin. Talk about Usher.
Okay, so I love football and I'm all about football, but Super Bowl, like most of the time, I'm really interested in the halftime show. And I'm a big fan of Usher. So, fun fact, my daughter Zoe was born when Usher's Yeah was the #1 song. So, I was glad that that made an appearance on stage, that song. But here's my thing, like I usually like the Super Bowl shows. I don't, there's not that many that I hate. But and the ones that everybody hates, I'm always like, that was so good. And then everybody, the world hates it.
Mhm.
This I was, and there's a lot of people liked it, and I liked it. I loved everything that the show was supposed to be. But coming out, Usher seemed a little tentative. His audio was horrible. He just
Right.
seemed off. It was a miss. But then they brought out Ludacris, which like changed the energy. Everybody like woke up the crowd. I don't know. And then he came out in roller skates, and that is
That
where
was
we
crazy. Yeah.
high school, and the costume change was good. I loved all the sparkles. Like I feel like it was really amazing. The dancers were great. The background dancers were great. All of the guests were amazing. They carried the show. But I just felt like Usher. I saw an interview pregame, and he said that he's going to bring in the Michael Jackson vibe and stuff like that. I kind of feel like he went a little too hard on that at the beginning, and his vocals suffered for it. But overall, I loved it. I love Usher in the '90s and all of that time frame anyway. But I felt like that he just missed it a little bit. But I loved the intention and everything that it was supposed to be. It was just like it was great. We watched it again at school on Monday too, and it was
Nice.
the second time because I was expecting the bad start at the beginning, and then it kind of like caught up to itself at the end. My friend about towards the beginning of the show before it got good, my friend is like, what are we watching? What is wrong with him? Like, what is he needs? And I was just like, he just started off a little bit. He missed a little bit. That's my take anyways.
I thought he did
Well,
a good job. But I think don't quote me on this, but I think a while back there was some, when he got a little bit older, there was some talk about his vocals struggling a little bit. 'Cause I think he hit like an older age where his voice was changing. I think
mm,
there was some kind of interview with him about that where he lost his. I mean, this was a long time ago, but he started off like with a bang in the '90s, had his voice. I mean, he was amazing. Then he lost his vocals a little bit because his voice started changing. Then that was a confidence issue with him for a while. I think there was like a interview with him about that where he just didn't sing for a while and he just had like no confidence because he couldn't do what he did before. So
I
I'm
see
not,
it
I'm not saying that's the case now, but I wonder if that's part of it. This is a long time ago, but
because it kind of sounded like his audio was off, but he sounded a little maybe. I mean, I don't want to say nervous about Usher. He's been a performer for 30 years, so
yeah,
but maybe that has something to do with it.
I like Usher too. I'm a big fan. Overall, he did a good job, way better than I ever could have done. The roller skates was amazing. I mean, like, holy crap, I would have busted my butt. I've been in a hospital with like a back or neck injury. So, Dave, what's your take? You're not saying anything.
I did honestly, I didn't even watch it.
It was
I'm
great.
not an
Yeah,
Usher
I figured
fan,
that.
so I didn't really care to.
yeah.
Most of the time, I don't watch the halftime shows. I just kind of veg and you know.
Well, one of the officers I work for asked a question on Facebook. What was the three best, like in rankings, what was the three best halftime shows? The Usher or the one last year with, Snoop Dogg and, you
So
know,
yeah,
Eminem and Dr. Dre. And there's a third one he asked about. But I told him instantly it was Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and those guys, because that's the music me and Monty listened to growing up in the '90s when me and Monty our
Yes.
friendship was starting when we were playing ball together in the early
Yes.
'90s. That's what we had on the radio when we were like going Friday nights,
Yeah.
chase girls and after big games, those kind of things. Like, well, what are we listening to? We're
Yeah,
listening.
Yeah.
We're
Snoop
listening.
Dogg.
We're listening to Snoop Dogg. We're listening to Dr. Dre. We're listening to all those guys. So that was my best halftime show because that just brings back memories of me and Monty and our friends. So, but
Yeah.
Usher did do a good job. But I love the Dr. Dre show, man.
I feel like the Prince show was really good.
Yes, I think that
That's
was
my favorite.
I
choice.
like the
Yeah,
Prince
That was
show
my favorite. Yeah.
yeah.
during Purple Rain. Like, and
Yeah.
that show was that. I feel like that one was really good. That was good.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I said,
love.
I liked the Black Eyed Peas one, which that's the one that most people had, like, they hated it. Like, and my friend and I, like, we had the Super Bowl party here that year, and we were like, we replayed it like 3 times, and we're all dancing in my living room, and it was just, we thought it was amazing. Everybody else was like, what are those things on those people's head? Like, because they had like, I don't know, it was like a light, everybody's wearing a light shade or something. I don't know. But anyways, but I liked all of like the stuff that nobody else likes. But I felt like Prince was really good.
Yeah.
Last year's was good, but I kind of feel like that it may not have been as good of a show, but it was like nostalgic for all of us, like the
Yeah.
like,
Right.
these people that are all about, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a trip down memory lane, that's for sure, man.
But this Usher show was too for me, like, because it was he's a little bit, I mean, he came out like in '96, I think, so he's a little bit younger than the Dr. Dre and but
yeah, he's a little younger. Yeah,
like I said, yeah, it came out in 2004. So but I love, well, Little John was there, and Little John's from Vegas. He's like usually in all the Knights games. He's at all the Knights games and
Nice.
stuff. So it kind of made me want to go to Vegas to watch Usher's show because he's in residency.
Yeah.
And everything.
Well, Usher's more of a chick magnet. I know that. I mean, so.
And then he took his shirt off at the end. That stole the show.
Yeah, good looking guy, keeps up with him. Obviously in really good shape still. Like, yeah, that guy, this chick magnet.
And dance, sing at the same time.
Yeah, he can get women, so there's no doubt. Yeah, he can. Yeah, he has no problem. I don't even know if he's married or not, but yeah. Anyways, well, this was a good show.
Yes.
Not a whole lot to talk about this time because it's just the Super Bowl game. We don't got a bunch of other things, but our next show will probably be for March Madness. Robin, I don't know if you do March Madness, but this is how me and Monty started the show. I know Dave is really big into March Madness. I think
March Madness.
Brandon are too.
Yes.
So
I might have to dive into it a little bit.
you and your husband can come on this show anytime you want, but I think the next show probably will be March Madness. I don't think there's really a whole lot in between. Maybe we could do a show a week before March Madness, maybe like with some, because last year we started after the picks were already made, after the 64 teams got in, but maybe we could do like a show like a week before.
Yes.
Saying like who we think who will be some like the last teams to get into March Madness, like a predictions before March Madness even starts, maybe, you know what I mean? What do you think, Monty, about that? Like a week before?
Perfect. Yeah, that's when it gets exciting. We have conference tournaments and stuff like that.
So
the small conference tournaments, they're the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we can talk about that. Yeah, when the conference tournaments start, we can get the show going, kind of say who we think is going to get into the field, and then obviously when March Madness starts, we'll start our first round like we did last year, get into the rounds and get all the way to the finals. Dave and Robbie, you don't have to, but if you want, that's when our show started off last year, so you can see how we started. You can kind of see like how far we've came from last March until now. So that'll be one thing we talk about too, like our beginning. Cool. So anyways, but thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and Robin, and thanks for sharing your, I know you shared it on Facebook.
Thank you.
Good
friend. Job.
So, yeah, we'll try to keep on doing that and everything. So anyone else got any closing comments?
Looking forward to the next thing. March Madness. Go Tar Heels.
Here's my March Madness before we end it. Will Purdue lose in the first round 4 years in a row?
Oh man. Yeah.
They've done it 3 times so far.
That would
Every
be
time
sweet. That would be
Yeah.
sweet.
I'm not
see
picking
what
them.
happens. We'll see what happens. I couldn't believe they did it last year. I thought last year they'd get over the hump and they lost in the first round. I think I picked them to get into the final 4.
Yeah.
My bracket was busted in day 1. So we'll see. But you guys got anything?
I might have
Robin,
to-
Dave?
I don't follow basketball much, but I'll employ my color philosophy and we'll see how my color strategy works out for
Yes.
You'll be surprised how good that works. How
Yeah,
well that-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. A friend at work picked every game by coin flip, and he had 2 teams out of the middle of nowhere in the final 4 last year. I was making fun of him, and he did better than everyone at work.
That's all.
And he knew it was all for coin flips. No pregame knowledge. It was insane. So I couldn't believe it. He picked Florida Atlantic, which I didn't have in a million years, and San Diego State. I'm like, they're gonna
Wow.
lose like the first or second round, and they get to the final 4. I couldn't believe it. I was like, no freaking way.
We'll
But
see
it
how
wasn't based off of knowledge though. It was based off a coin flip, so it was crazy. So couldn't believe it. But all right, people, we'll close out. Have a good night, and we'll be back for March Madness.
Have a good night. Thank you.
See ya.
Yep.